freedom, Manhattan. Collapse, major collapse, major collapse. The World Trade Center's collapsed. Building 2 has collapsed.
You knew it wasn't good. You knew there was a lot of people trying to get out of the city, and there was a lot of people trying to get into that building. My job when I first went in was to transport some of this medical personnel into New York. And when I went in there, I saw, I believe it was a lieutenant from NYPD, and I'm just thinking, I have this search and rescue dog sitting back there, and we need to put her to work. He told me that it was still too hot in there and that they're not deploying dogs right away and definitely come back. So that's what I did on Wednesday morning. I headed back in with Callie to go to work at the Trade Center.
The Rottweilers were one of the first search and rescue dogs up at 9/11 at Ground Zero. Bloodhounds are your best search and rescue dog, the best scent dogs. The problem is the bloodhounds won't listen to you. They will just pull you onto the different scents. And there was too much heavy equipment going back and forth. And the Rottweiler would listen to us. If it's in a bucket being lowered in, or one of those big dump trucks, and there's just hundreds and hundreds every day going all over the place.
There might have been 3, 4, 5 dogs, and then we would be called into what they called voids. They were pretty much just a place that maybe a person could have been in that was, you know, a survivable type of hole, let's say. So we were called in with the dogs to search those voids. Some of the stuff was in parking decks, you know, which you had to go underground. And then some of it was on top of the pile.
We found out quickly after we were there, we knew this was not going to be a rescue effort, which is what we thought we were going to be doing. This was a recovery effort.
I think if she was feeling anything, it was what was coming from me, you know, because they're bred to please me. So she wanted to go to work, but they're like your kids. She was like my daughter, and I had a lot of concerns about places I was asking her to go.
There was so much dust everywhere that anything that was moist at all just blended in with everything else. So there was no way you could see human remains. But to the dogs, it glowed in the dark to them. And as soon as they sent there, we'd pick up, we'd find something, red bag it into the Hazo bags, and then they'd go off for DNA testing so they could bring closure to those families.
It's the kind of thing as emergency personnel, you got a job to do, you go do it. And then she was a new dog out of training, you know, by a month, you know, so over the course of 3, 4 days, she adapted herself and worked great. She just went to work and did what she did what I asked her to do.
The Rottweilers would watch our body language, and we can just give them hand signals to do what we needed them to do.
It was bad, but they really took care of the dog. You know, when you put the dog to work and you came back into it, they washed the dog. Their pads were clean. They offered you little booties for them to wear.
You were on rubble. That rubble was everywhere. The Rottweilers could maneuver themselves much better than we could. And we even had boots that we put on their feet to protect their feet from the jagged edges of not only the bricks and stuff that had crumbled, but there's also steel and everything else there. And you'd put their feet in here, and then we use this to go around the leg to hold it on from the back of the foot.
Callie just wouldn't wear them. She wanted to shake them off her feet when you put them on. They cleaned their ears, they cleaned their eyes, they cleaned their noses, their feet. So the care for the animals that were working there was unbelievable.
They didn't know what they were finding. They just knew when they did it, we gave them a lot of love and affection. And so that's why they wanted to do it more. But we couldn't have done it without them.
Callie was a casualty of the 9/11 because she only lived to 6 years old. But her kidneys just shut down. So she didn't really have a long career. The career she did have was, you know, part of history.